Hi, welcome to the Final Family Podcast. Today is April 27th. We're here to talk about some of the nerdy news this week. Not quite as Star Wars heavy as it was last week. So, if you don't like Star Wars, you get a break. Lots of Batman and DC stuff, though, this week. I'm Jessica Castle.
I'm Matt Castle.
And thank you for joining us. So let's jump right in. And of course, right after I said not too much Star Wars stuff, we're leading off with a Star Wars story.
It's just one Star Wars story.
Yeah, just one.
And I think it really only is in this week's episode because we weren't late last week making a video.
We were on time.
We should have waited until Monday.
Yeah, the trailer for Rogue One, they're reporting it's going to be Jedi-free, the first Jedi-free Star Wars movie. Shaky cam leak.
Just like the Batman v Superman.
Like the Batman v Superman.
Only this one was good.
Yeah. We're not gonna put the picture in the video we don't get removed.
Yeah, we don't want the video blocked or taken away for.
You can find it out there if you haven't seen it already.
Google is a thing. Google is a thing.
I have to say,
and I checked today. Yeah. It is actually still up. So
is it? Okay.
Maybe there will be a link in the description.
Maybe.
Down below, perhaps. Maybe.
Overall, I mean, anytime there's a shaky cam leak, it's not going to be as impressive as the real thing. But that's no moon. Death Star silhouette over the trees.
Oh, it was so good.
That was
good.
That was
so okay.
Pretty
so
amazing.
Let's paint the picture, right? Like you're racing through the trees of like a jungle, caverny. It's very much like
feels very much like indoor.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. In my mind I was thinking this is like that one scene from Independence Day where they're flying through the big ass canyon and it's real narrow and there's and the spaceship. I'm making really bad fucking voices here. Yeah. Except it's foresty instead of desert canyon thing. And then
you break free.
And then you're breaking out into the open and it's like this big moony thing. Like you're like that's a moon. That's a big fucking moon. That's no fucking moon. That's no moon. Oh, it's so good.
So that, once again, the poor Batman versus Superman trailer. Because once again, shaky cam, movie that, in all honesty, I'm not really even that invested in because it's supposed to be like a war movie. Yeah, that's the feel they're going for it.
I'm gonna see it. I feel like it's gonna be more action adventure-y than say like a Full Metal Jacket or.
Well, yeah, they're not gonna go Full Metal Jacket.
Well, that's what I was saying though. Like war movie has a certain connotation to it.
But they've.
This will be Dirty Dozen and not Platoon.
Like there have been comparisons to the Tom Hanks movie where they're going to save the last brother.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Band of Brothers?
No,
that was
that's
the show.
The HBO
Saving
show.
Private Ryan.
Saving Private. There have been comparisons.
Really?
Yes, like this is apparently going to be like
dramatic.
Boots on the ground. Yeah.
Actually dramatic Star Wars.
Yeah.
I'm down for that.
I mean, I'm sure it's not going to be rated R. I don't think there will ever be a rated R Star Wars movie.
I'm just saying.
But they're saying
the Boba Fett single is apparently, getting heavier rumors than it even was before.
Yeah.
And honestly, there were several people who thought this one might be the first Boba Fett.
Yeah.
It was going to be Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Apparently, there's also been leaks about a Yoda solo movie.
Yeah. I don't want a Yoda movie.
I do. I desperately want a Yoda movie. I want some Yoda fighting. I want some Yoda like as a knight being on his way to be a master.
I feel like Yoda as a character, and part of it's the Yoda speech pattern. I feel like Yoda is a character that does best in small doses. I don't want to know the prequel of Yoda. I don't want to see a planet of Yodas. I love Yoda. I know you do. And I do too. I love Yoda.
I'm okay with not a planet of Yodas so much. I don't even know what race he is. Have they ever named his race?
He's a Yoda.
He's a
Yoda.
I've encountered one other Yoda that's not named Yoda, but that was in Star Wars The Old Republic. Yeah. And he had the same speech pattern, so I think it's a race thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would be into seeing what Yoda did on Dagobah. why he went to do that stuff. And I think part of that is because just hang on, let me finish my thought. I think part of that is because you haven't finished the Clone Wars. There's a number of solo Yoda episodes in there where he's like going through and talking to the Force, and it's a very spiritual, existential fantasy thing.
But what I am saying is Yoda scenes, a Yoda heavy movie, cool with. A Yoda-centric movie, I do not want. Do not want a Yoda-centric movie.
Blasphemer.
Sorry, I don't want it.
Anyway, so let's move on.
So find the Rogue One trailer, watch it, especially when it gets released in HD. Definitely watch it then.
There will be a link in the description down below.
Next and this is exciting, we have a happy DC story. We have a happy DC comic story.
So this and we're particularly happy about this because we have a 3-year-old daughter.
Yes.
DC has decided to start up a new franchise, or not a new franchise, but a new merchandise line for girls. Here, let me switch up our display here.
It's called DC Superhero Girls. It's aimed towards girls 6 to 12. They're likening it to the Disney Princess line, where there's merchandise and clothing and crayons and straight to DVD movies, which as a marketing line, I don't mind.
All of the artwork is very like soft DC Princess.
Yeah.
And while I'm not in love with that, I feel like they could have drawn them more powerfully. I don't know if that's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah. But
less feminine. I don't know if that's the word I'm looking for either.
But the fact
because I want them to be feminine, right?
Yeah. But the fact that they're almost all in pants, they're all well covered.
Only one character has bare legs.
Supergirl is the only one that has bare legs.
And I wouldn't say that she has an unreasonable skirt on.
Yeah. So like, if they're just shown as strong and athletic, you know, like, that's at least as... We are never going to get a girls line where they're animated to look like real girls. Yeah. You know, that's just not going to happen. Marketing companies aren't going to do it. Maybe an Indiegogo thing, but not a major
Now that I'm looking at the Supergirl a little more closely, or at least a second time anyway, while not working, her outfit actually is very, like, field hockey-ish.
Yeah, it looks very much like a 1950s cheerleader girl.
No, that's like field hockey now does that.
I've never grown up where they play field hockey, so I don't know.
I'm in from the Great Northeast, and that's a field hockey uniform.
Okay, there you go.
It's like a polo with a skirt, basically.
Yeah. But the fact that, like, none of them are in heels, they're all in, like, boots and tennis shoes.
Yeah, and I actually really kind of dig the Batgirl here, where she's actually kind of like the current Batgirl that is in the books right now. Yeah. With the boots and the, more kind of homemade look to her. Yeah. Her whole costume.
But I have to say, I'm
not a super fan of the Wonder Woman shoulder pads, though.
I have to say, I'm really excited for this. They don't have a whole lot of information out there, but we're raising our daughter. If you haven't figured it out yet, we're a nerdy household. Yeah. So, she knows who Wonder Woman and Batman and, Supergirl and Batgirl and all these people are, but we can't find stuff with them for her.
She still hasn't helped us decide which is better, Superman or Batman.
Yeah. It depends on who asks and what day.
And who has chocolate.
But, like, I get excited when I see the Wonder Woman logo in the store at all. Because, like, you can't find superhero merchandise for girls.
She's part of the damn Trinity, and she gets the least traction of any superhero. I mean...
Over Halloween season this past year, I got really upset at Target because they finally had Supergirl costumes and Batgirl, and they were all sparkly and pink
and purple.
No, just pink. Not even pink. Not even a choice of pink or purple. Just sparkly pink. And it's one of those things where pink as a color is not offensive. If a little girl is going to love pink, go for it. You do everything in pink. But it's when that's the only choice. That's the problem. Right. And a little, a 10-year-old girl who wants to dress like Supergirl chances are, I'm not saying 100% of the time, but chances are she wants to look like Supergirl.
Not like Stupid Girl.
Not a pink version of the Supergirl uniform. And so this means we're going to get more realistic.
I hope so. It doesn't mean that. Because DC has proven themselves capable of failure numerous times at this point.
But the fact that they are willing to try this,
I feel like
I like this.
Like action figures and a lot. I feel like action figures will be the best case scenario for this thing, right?
I think we're more likely to get fashion dolls than action figures.
Well, that's yes, but they'll still look like the character.
Yeah.
As opposed to a pink outfit with a Supergirl face on it that is only describable as Supergirl.
Yeah.
Because there's a big S somewhere.
Yeah.
Right? And otherwise the whole damn nightgown or pajamas or t-shirt is pink.
Yeah.
Or purple or, some kind of pastel blue. I fucking hate pastels so much. I really do. I fucking hate them. Please stop trying to put my daughter in pastel colors.
There are rumors that action figures are going to be included, so we'll see. This like I said, this is just the first release. It's just press releases, not a whole lot of detail, but this has me pretty hopeful. Also, Katana's in it, and I love Katana. So
Jessica used to read the Gotham City Sirens. Is that where you liked her from, or was it
Birds of Prey?
Birds of Prey, and that's what it was.
Birds of Prey.
Was that the new? No, not the new 52 run. Yes, the new 52 run. That's right. I forgot they had one.
I'll be honest, I'm not sure if she's still in it because it's been so long since I've read Birds of Prey.
Actually, I think that got canned.
Yeah, probably.
I think it got canned.
I know she got her own book for a while at least.
Well, she joined Justice League of America. That's what happened.
That's it.
And she had her own book for that.
Yeah.
Along with Vibe, which I never understood, but whatever. Yeah. I make sonic waves. I am effectively a fucking megaphone.
but that's pretty exciting news.
Yeah, especially for anybody who has a young girl.
For representation and options and all that.
Right.
And also, talking about representation is important. The big news in Marvel is that
as if Marvel needed to be more diverse and inclusive in their fucking work, right? Like these guys are doing everything right.
Yeah, they have some good people in the PR department. It has recently come out that Iceman is gay. And whereas
now to clarify, this is actually technically in the all new X-Men, where the X-Men from like the 60s come to the future to see themselves and work alongside themselves. Like Jean Grey, I don't remember. I think Jean Grey from the past. This is my understanding of the story, having not actually read it because I don't read all new X-Men. Jean Grey, one of either present Jean Grey, which I don't even know if she's a thing, or Jean Grey that comes from the past with them, reads Bobby's mind, and she's like, "Holy shit, you're gay," and like outs him.
Yeah.
But I mean, apparently they played it off really well. He's like, the way they I'm sorry. The way they had him respond to the thing basically was say, well, I kind of wanted people to hate me for only one thing as opposed to two, so I just kept the homosexuality thing under wraps.
Yeah, and that's their thing. They're not retconning anything. This isn't like an alternate universe. They're just saying, hey, he's been closeted for this many years, and that's why he's had failed relationships.
Everybody already hates him because he's a mutant.
Yeah.
Why would you want the world to hate him because he's a gay mutant, right?
Yeah.
That's basically the stance he's taken. And I think it's great, actually. I think it's a really it's a good way to approach it without alienating a lot of fans.
Yeah. And the thing is also, like, when Glee was still a thing and big, like all the gay kids on that were celebrated when they can't,
right.
being a closeted gay person isn't part of like the way we talk to teens. It's like, be out and proud and it gets better. And there are some places in this country where it's not really safe
it doesn't get better,
be out of the
sometimes.
closet, and it's not going to be better until you move out. And so to be like, hey, I mean, not saying, Bobby's not saying, and they're not saying, hey, this is the option, but or this is a good choice. It's just like, hey, we understand sometimes this, sometimes it works out this way, and I think, even addressing the fact that like, you're not necessarily going to be celebrated, and, coming out is not always, glitter and parades, and, but
it's hard. It's a difficult decision to make.
And sometimes your friends accidentally out you, like all those options, I think are a good, slightly more realistic look, as opposed to,
definitely
some of the other, I'm sorry.
I was trying to give you the eyeballs to see if it was our son.
No, it's not our son. It's something outside. There's something like groaning and
outside.
Yeah, we're being haunted apparently.
The naked boy from next door trying to jump out the damn window again.
I hope not. That's
we'll explain that in a later episode.
Yeah. So if you see crazy stuff going on behind us, it's Paranormal Activity 27.
It's only 5.
I don't know.
Anyway. So the Avengers lost their damn minds, or at least the press and the Avengers, like all the horribleness.
Let's see. So 3 major events happened where during this press junket,
and humorously enough, crazy. It was across literally the entire Avengers team.
Everyone's included. Everyone. First off, what happened? A jerk reporter who kind of has a reputation of being a jerk.
Apparently, it's not just the reporter; it's the channel.
It's the channel.
The channel apparently does this on purpose. Looking at their YouTube channel, like it's just all kind of stuff like that.
Yeah, it's not really news.
Yeah.
Tried to get Robert Downey Jr. to talk about his past with addiction and all of that.
His father.
And he's been open.
He's
with that in the past, it's not anything that he's hiding. But this is a press junket for a movie. This is not the time or
he's like,
place.
Like throughout the entire interview, you can see him getting more uncomfortable, and you can see his breathing level increases, and he's like really confused by all the questions, and he tries to pull it back, back to the topic that they're supposed to be talking about, and pull through it, and the guy just refuses. And so he walked out. He walks out, but he walks out with a lot of tact.
Yeah,
he's not like a douche about it, and he's like, okay, we can go. Okay, bye.
Yeah. So that was the first event.
Yeah. So now we're feeling sorry for the Avengers.
Yeah. Because now we're feeling sorry for the Avengers.
Dickhead. I'm just trying to keep a chronological scale of emotions for the week.
Because we went through like all the emotions.
Lots of ups and downs.
And then the second thing was, oh my gosh, I've forgotten their names.
Chris Evans and Jeremy Renner.
Yes. In a interview, they were being asked about Black Widow and who she's going to be with.
Yeah, and what they thought of her being with the Hulk instead of with either of them.
And so they jokingly referred to her as a slut and a whore.
Which is, I mean...
No.
Is not appropriate for the place in which they did it. If they were sitting around the table with her and they're joking around in the writer's room, maybe this is okay. But
I'm still going with no.
I don't know. Just it, the manner in which they approached it, it was we're just gonna make fun. We're almost making fun of teenage boys as much as we're making fun of this silly ass question.
It felt very frat boy. Yeah. Bro-y. It felt like a bro-y moment.
Right. Which is what I'm saying. I feel like it was a bro question, right? That's not a reasonable question. It's the silly ass question. And so they gave a silly ass answer. Yeah. Which is why I don't think it's that detrimental to society as many people on the internet think it is.
I mean, it's not but But what I see it is it's a symptom of something larger, and the larger issue is the issue at hand.
Realistically,
which I felt. I'm just going to go ahead and jump to. So we were embarrassed and kind of ashamed of the Avengers Next, and then we brought it back up. Scarlett Johansson and Mark Ruffalo showed us, and another interviewer
I think it was something UK. I can't remember who it was now.
It was a UK.
Like Huffington Post UK or something like that.
Showed us kind of like how silly it is.
Right. So like they basically asked Mark Ruffalo all of the questions that they would. Cosmo, there you go. They asked Mark Ruffalo all of the questions that they would normally have asked Scarlett Johansson. So things like, hey, Mark, do you wear underwear underneath your uniform?
Yeah. Who are you going to be wearing on the red carpet?
Yeah.
Did you have to go on a special diet?
And they took it in great stride and had a good time with it. Yeah. And I feel like someone probably set that up on purpose to kind of bring it out, bring it back.
Because the thing is,
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, if a male character, like, nobody's gonna be like, Thor's such a slut, even though he's aware of how attractive he is, and he, he has that kind of like swagger, bravado, machismo thing going on. No one's gonna be like, he's a slut, but because it's a female character.
But he also hasn't been. I think that's one of the things, they haven't actually opened that opportunity up to any of the male characters. None of them are associated with more than one woman.
Black Widow isn't associated with more than one man. She's not romantically associated with any of the men in the movies.
I feel like actually in Captain America 2, they were hinting a little bit at a Cap Widow thing. They were way too friendly, or not way too friendly, but they were very friendly and stuff. And anyway, there were hints. So says the internet. Whatever.
I don't believe the internet.
This is where this question was formulated from, right? Yeah. So they're extra friendly in Avengers 2. Yeah. Or not Avengers 2, but Captain America 2. In the first Avengers movie, there's hints that actually Hawkeye and Black Widow had in the past. Also, Hawkeye and Black Widow have had a past in the comics. I think
we're talking about the movies,
I know.
Though.
But even in the movies, though, there were definitely hints after that conversation. I got right in my, whatever. Yeah. And so, I think that's where the question was formed, at least.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, in the new Avengers, it's looking like it's going to be a Black Widow, Hulk. He's given up on Betty because
Betty sucks.
Betty doesn't suck. She turns into
Betty
She-Hulk
in the movie
eventually.
Sucks.
Betty in the newest Hulk movie didn't suck that much. I thought Liv Tyler did a good job.
Yeah, but Marvel's pretending that movie doesn't exist. So.
Because they have to, because it was actually made by a different company.
That's true.
So anyway.
But So we had lots of ups and downs with the press junket, and this is,
Okay, so
one thing that we can agree on.
Oh my God. So we're gonna switch over. You may want to avert your eyes at the horror that you are about to be.
It's pretty bad.
It's super terrible.
It's pretty bad.
So this week we had a Twitter post from David Ayer, who is the director of the new Suicide Squad movie, which is out, I think, next year. I believe it's 2016. It's out in 2016. And it's Jared Leto's Joker. Wow. I know where he was coming from with the pose, at very least, inspired by The Killing Joke.
And the haws are in the font very, very,
right.
Nod to that.
And
which is kind of like the classic Joker, that's
super
kind
classic
of
Joker, right.
The pinnacle of Joker storylines is Killing Joke.
Right. However, this kind of looks more like a Juggalo. For those of you who don't know what a Juggalo is, you should go on the internet, or maybe not, because it's horrible, and go and find some insane clown posse, and you will see what a juggalo is, which basically is an idiot who's into horrible rap rock and drinks a lot of sugary soda.
To me, it looked a lot more circa 1998 Marilyn Manson. That's immediately what I saw.
Oh yeah, it was I still super channeling of Marilyn Manson.
I still don't really see the juggalo thing. It's just it's
easy. It's the grill thing.
But circa 90 whatever.
Did he?
Yeah, for the Beautiful People album.
Yeah,
he did the grill thing for a while.
Antichrist Superstar.
I think so. So for me, I immediately see Marilyn Manson, which at the time was dark and edgy, and now he's just kind of like a sad middle-aged man who's still trying to hold on to it. So there's all that in the back of my head, which leads to some like, this guy is not intimidating. And the other thing is like, the tattoos are so on the nose referential,
right?
That
like,
it looks. I cannot look at that and see the Joker. I look at that and see like the world's most extreme Joker fanboy.
Like the only single tattoo on in this whole picture that I can see that I think the Joker might actually get is the aces on his shoulder.
Yeah.
Like, and that's kind of it, because that's kind of a Joker just trademark thing. He likes like in certain versions of the Joker, he kind of always has cards on him.
Yeah.
For no reason, just
he has them.
Sometimes they explode and sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're weird razor blades, but I think that was mostly in the animated series that they did that with. All the tattoos. Actually, I don't think his facial expression doesn't look menacing or manic. It just kind of looks like,
kind of silly.
It looks like Home Alone. It looks like he shaved and then he put on too much aftershave and it hurt, and they took a picture.
No, do you know what it is with the glove on, with the rubber glove? He's like, I didn't mean for my hair to turn out this color.
Yeah. Like, oh shit. It was not supposed to be this shade of green.
Yeah. There's nothing, because the Joker is one of those characters that, if done well, is supposed to be very charismatic, but also scary,
super
and
disturbed,
creepy.
And one of the things I like the least is that damaged tattoo on his forehead. Like, it's so on the head. Like, Joker, I don't feel like the Joker is or has ever really been fully aware of his lunacy. Yeah. Right? Like, I feel like
he's not self-aware enough to do that.
Right. Like, I just don't feel like...
to label himself as damaged.
Right. He feels like everyone else is broken.
Yeah, and he is there to make it better, to make everyone see the madness that is life, or, whatever you want to call it. But it doesn't... And also, I'd like to note that this is not criticism coming from a person who loved Heath Ledger. I think Heath Ledger did a really good job. He was a certain kind of Joker. I still like Jack Nicholson better, personally. I feel like Jack Nicholson was a more conniving, calculating, it's too
villainous, thoughtful Joker, as opposed to, like, Jack Nicholson to me is much scarier than Heath Ledger was.
Yeah.
Which I like better as a Batman fan, but that's, I grew up in the early 90s and Batman 89 is like literally the only thing I can think of that Tim Burton has ever done good.
Yeah.
I despise Tim Burton. Yeah. As you are well aware. Because it's the only movie he's ever made that's not a Tim Burton movie.
Close.
But this is not me fanboying for Heath Ledger. Yeah. Like, I feel like this is a not good version of this character. Period.
One of the things that bothers me the most is not necessarily even this portrayal, but this is supposed to be a Suicide Squad movie.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's going to become a Joker movie. And
it's going to be a Joker and Harley movie.
Yeah. I have a soft spot. I love Harley. And I would watch a Harley movie.
Absolutely. In fact, I would prefer it if this was a Harley movie.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, it's going to take over the movie. Because the Suicide Squad, the whole shtick of the series is that they're kind of like all B-lister villains, and they're expendable, and they're the ones that got caught, you know, and didn't escape in time, you know, and they're sent out on this to, you know, maybe earn their freedom back, or maybe just not have their heads, exploded off.
I mean, and I have to say, between the actually including Joker, period.
Yeah.
This new picture and a lot of the back and forth they've had with writers and directors over the course of the last year, like, I don't even think I want to see this movie in the theaters, at least.
I will go ahead and see it. But
I mean, obviously, if you see it, we'll both see it. But
well, I was going to say, with the caveat, this is not anything that I would see like first weekend or second week. Like, no. I'm going to wait and see what critics are saying, see what my personal friends that I, trust their viewpoint on, like I'm going to wait a while. And
I think all of our friends that actually were looking at this movie are as apprehensive as we are now.
Like this, just not.
Yeah, I'm
really
super not impressed, not excited at all. Yeah. I mean, they better come out of the gate real strong with the teaser in the next.
And Will Smith is playing Deadshot.
Yeah, okay.
I was pretty sure he was.
Yeah, I couldn't. I knew he was in it, but I couldn't remember exactly who he was playing. I don't know. I feel like if he plays Deadshot like he played the beginning half of Hancock, then we'll be all right. I don't know. I have a long history of not really enjoying big name actors as comic book heroes, Jared Leto, or villains, or really anybody in comic bookdom. I think the only time I can really say that I was straight up wrong was like Patrick Stewart, because he's like literally the best fucking Professor X ever.
He is Professor X. That's why.
End of Yep.
So if you're interested and would like to find out more about Suicide Squad and all these other great comic book titles, do you like that segue?
Segue magic.
So if you would like to find out more about comic books, there is something awesome coming up this weekend on May 2nd. That if you don't normally go to comic book stores, you're not going to necessarily know about. It's kind of a little known thing, but it is Free Comic Book Day. Now, that is not to say that all comic books are free, but they have special.
But you'll come home with a good stack. Yeah,
they have special run comic books, basically kind of to get your feet wet, to get you to introduce you to some new characters.
Or what it'll do is a lot of times, like specifically DC has their Convergence storyline coming through right now, and what they'll probably do with their free comic is have a huge ass crossover thing that is integral to the storyline and actually require people to read it. But you don't actually have to go to your local comic shop, though you definitely should, because their chances are they're doing something awesome. Apps like Comixology will actually still give you the free comics even after Free Comic Book Day too.
So if you go on their website, freecomicbookday.com.
We'll put a link here. We'll put an annotation here.
Then they actually have find a local store, so you can find a store that's taking part. And really, like, every store, and we've been to Free Comic Book Days in several places, several different stores in different cities, and every one we've ever been to has something going on that day as well. Whether it's an artist drawing pictures for people, or signing books, or cosplay people, there's almost always going to be something cool going on. So it's a good way to get out.
We will actually be out at Dragon's Lair on Fredericksburg and here in San Antonio with our kids, taking Ollie out for his first Free Comic Book Day and her daughter's second. She picked up a bunch of books last year and had a good time reading some Street Fighter, and we picked up a copy of Mouse Guard, which is actually a really cool kind of what would you liken it to? Redwall.
It's pretty Redwall-y.
I've never even heard of Redwall before that, so say maybe Secret of Nim kind of Okay, maybe not. Anyway, it's anthropomorphic mice that are kind of in a medieval time frame type thing, and it's really cute. And it's really well drawn, actually.
Yeah.
And there's tons of like B-string comics that are just kind of fluff or whatever, and but there's also like some really cool Archie comics. Like I think we got a copy of like Archie versus the Living Dead or some shit like that last year.
It was something silly.
And we had a lot of great books last year, and we had a lot of fun. And my daughter got to see, our San Antonio Aquaman. It was probably one of the last times he made an appearance before he passed away. He was a great guy. Did a whole lot of charity. We got to meet him several times. We had an artist last year that did Game of Thrones art.
Yeah.
And actually, we got a cool print from Arya from him, and I got it signed, and Ginger got to pick out some cards and stuff. It was great. I'm really looking forward to this year as well at Dragon's Lair again.
But yeah, it takes place all over the country, so it's an awesome way to get in touch with other nerdy folk in your area.
All right, so I guess keeping on with our comic book theme, we can start talking about our TV shows this week,
which are all
comic book based entirely, wholly, without.
Well, do we want to talk about Game of Thrones?
We can talk about Game of Thrones. I'm sure there's a comic book of Game of Thrones.
There is a comic book of Game of Thrones. Remember, we used to buy it.
I don't remember that, but okay.
It's still, I have to say, I really love the changes that they're making to the book, because they are not so crazy off the wall that we will wind up at a different endpoint.
Right.
But they're different.
Let me stop you before you start. The question is, are you going to talk about episode 2 or are you going to talk about episode 3? Because we normally wouldn't cover episode 3 right now, even though we've actually watched it. So we can cover episode 2 and 3.
Let's just do 2 and 3. That's silly not to cover the episode.
All right.
But I really enjoy the changes that they're making, because like I said, doesn't change the trajectory, but it's different enough that
it's still satisfying to watch it.
It's
even
still
though
satisfying to watch it. As they outpace, because they are very quickly outpacing the book. They already have
with Brienne and
they've basically outpaced some of the characters.
So fair warning, we've managed to avoid spoilers up to this point, but if you haven't watched episodes 2 and 3 of Game of Thrones season 5, you probably want to skip this part and go on to The Flash or the next part of television that you actually have watched.
But it's still going to be interesting for the books, because HBO has finally fessed up, before the season started, hey, we are going to outpace the books because we're cutting a bunch of storylines, and we're, they're cutting the pirates. Shucks. So sad.
I can't think of any characters I care less about in Game of Thrones than the pirates. At all. I literally would rather read about Ramses Bolton, who is fucking scary. I like Stannis better than I like the Greyjoys.
There are parts of Dorne that I get bored with. But I feel like they're probably going to be streamlining that enough.
I was okay with Dorne. And they're introducing Jaime to that to make him move ahead faster. Yeah. And they're probably going to lower
the number of sand snakes.
And they're going to lower the number of people in that major group. And they're going to probably take out the whole love of the White Cloak with one of the sand snakes thing and replace him with Jaime. Yeah. Is my imagining.
Yeah. So they're doing a lot of streamlining, and which those 2 books have a lot of bloat, I feel like.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I haven't even made it all the way through book 5. And I'm just so tired of reading it.
And it may very well all play out, all pay off and be awesome sauce, but when you're slogging through it,
it's like reading the 4th book of the Dark Tower series. You have to get through it. It's abysmal. You have to know all the things that happen then, though.
Yeah.
Have to know what kind of man Roland is.
I don't have a lot of really specifics.
No, I mean they were both very set-up-y.
Yeah, we're still in the setup. I feel like
in
next
episode 2, the major thing that happens is Jon Snow gets promoted or whatever to Lord Commander, as well as Stannis offering him his name.
Yeah.
Right? He offers him the opportunity to be
Lord of the North.
Yeah, offers him the opportunity to be, Lord of the North and Lord of Winterfell and be a Stark, which is he's always wanted to be. And of course, Jon being Jon. And I think for the better in this particular case. He may know nothing, but in this case, I think it's a good thing. Yeah. He becomes Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, which is awesome.
Yeah.
He shows mercy to, and I think this is a really good, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a great illustration of Jon Snow's character and the character that has been instilled by Ned, right? He shows, what's his face? Caesar, whose name I can't remember.
Thank you.
Mance Radar. He shows Mance mercy. They're trying to burn him at the stake, and he shoots him with an arrow before he lets him burn too long.
And I feel like that's a really nice bookend to episode 3, where sniveling dude, because I can't even remember his name.
Slint.
Yeah. Where Slint, just flat refuses an order. And
right, and I think the mercy arrow shot actually happens before he becomes Lord Commander. So Jon Snow does that completely of his own accord, not with the authority of the Night's Watch behind him at all. It's just him doing that thing, and then at the end of the episode, he actually becomes Lord Commander.
Yeah, and then in episode 3, Janice flat refuses an order, which is punishable by beheading, and so Jon takes his sword,
much like the very first episode.
Yeah, Ned. And as he's getting ready to do the strike, Janice starts pleading for mercy,
blubbering like a little bitch, because he is.
And Jon doesn't give mercy in that moment, and I think those two scenes tell
because
you
now he
lot.
has to lead, right? He has to lead.
Well,
I think that's a large part of it.
I think even if he was Lord Commander in that first scene, he's still going to give mercy in that first scene.
Right.
Because that's giving an honorable death, not, shortening suffering, that's an honorable man who's being put to death for
no reason than trying to bring his people to safety.
Yeah, whereas if you give Janice mercy, he's
gonna stab you in the back again.
Yeah.
But I think that is part of it, though, right? He can't start out having Sir Alistair or whatever his name is, and all of the naysayers for him being Lord Commander, because it was a close thing. So at least 50% of the Night's Watch doesn't think he should be the Lord Commander. He can't start out his command with weakness. He's got to set a tone for his administration effectively. And it's got to be a strict tone, man, because winter is coming, in a serious, very literal way.
And I find it, also telling of the place in which he's, he is, physically, being on the wall and being a member of the Watch. When you're on the wall, giving mercy is to kill someone and give them a clean death.
Right.
That is showing mercy.
Right, because
it's not letting someone live.
How many more closets could Janice Slint find to hide in?
How many more deaths is he going to be responsible for because of his cowardice? It's to give mercy on the wall is to give a clean death. And I think that's... I'm not sure if the showrunners were meaning that kind of thing, But the wall is the most brutal place in the Seven Kingdoms, and that's where it's all gonna go down. All these people are playing playing the game, and they're they don't know what's coming for them. They don't know what's
Hell, I don't even think the Night's Watch really knows what's coming.
No,
they've got a peek. I don't think they know what's fully coming.
No. Not even a little.
I'm really kind of surprised we haven't seen any sign of Bran yet. Like, at all. They got well ahead of where he was in the third season. Bran, was well into the fourth book by the time...
They are not going to be in this season.
Really? At all?
At all.
I did not know that.
That is the rumor and conjecture and that.
Okay, then. Are they just dropping it? Like, they
no,
can't just drop it, right?
Okay. Hodor is not going to be in this season.
Really?
I think they officially confirmed that. He tweeted something.
Yeah.
And so
it was a whole thing at some other point before we started doing this podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not. Bran and Hodor are not in season 5.
Okay.
There's just apparently enough of other stuff. They're basically going to skip over all of the training.
Okay, well that makes sense, because that could be boring, and I haven't actually read a whole lot of training anyway. Like, Bran hasn't actually showed up in the 5th book at all, that I'm aware of. I'm halfway through. Anyway.
So basically, like, the next time we see Bran, it's going to be in season 6, and he's going to be like, whoa, whatever Bran winds up being.
Walking /
crazy
flying.
Tree, wizard, wargy thing.
He's going to have a wooden helmet or some shit. Like.
But yeah, they're not going to be in it.
Interesting. Okay,
so
what else?
The introduction of the sparrows.
We had the introduction of the sparrows, right? We have a new High Septon, or will soon. I actually really like the actor they picked. I can't remember his name for the life of me. He's just like one of those character actors that he's that guy from those shows and those things and those movies that I like Steve Buscemi, but I don't know him as well.
Okay, I have to look up because I want to make sure. Okay, let me just keep talking about Game of Thrones.
Okay, yes, dear. Let's see. Lancel, they've moved him ahead pretty far with the sparrows. It seems like he's gonna, be the lead, head hunch, or if not the High Sparrow, then which we already know he's not the High Sparrow, obviously, because it's that guy that Jessica's looking up. It seems like he's going to be at least the head of the sparrows, like after the new High Septon takes his place, and so he's going to be head of the militaristic side of the church.
Or at least that's how it goes in the books. Yeah. We don't know.
Well, is he? I don't know that I've actually gotten to that either, but I know that he leaves like his wife and a lordship basically to go and join the sparrows. I don't know that he became. I don't remember that if he became leader or not. And then the other big news in these last couple episodes has been Sansa Stark, actually. Brienne finally catches up with one of them, and Sansa turns her down flat. She's like, Littlefinger's got this. You guys can, piss off. It's cool. Yeah. I'm good. And then in the last bit of the 3rd episode, we find out that instead of Ramsay's marrying a fake Arya Stark, which is how it is in the books, he's actually going to marry the real Sansa Stark.
I was right.
You were right?
I'm sorry to backtrack. I know the High Sparrow as Mr. Dark, who is the creepy as fuck villain in the really excellent adaptation of Something Wicked This Way Comes by Ray Bradbury. Okay. So that man, every time I see him, gives me the creeps, because as a young child, he was a very creepy man in a very creepy movie.
Well, he always played kind of sinister-y guys, or at least morally ambiguous guys.
So we're going to have to add this to a list to watch somewhere, because you've never seen it.
No, I have not.
So.
Will it be part of our hate watch? Or
No, it's good.
All right, so let's move on to The Flash.
Yeah.
All right, so this week we basically had Cisco and Joe go off to Starling City to find the body of actual Harrison Wells. And they kind of laid some groundwork for Detective or Captain Lance to not be such a douche nugget anymore.
I hope they follow through with that.
I hope so too. Because I feel like there's not any way that Ollie is going to be legitimately able to go back to Starling City without that. Yeah. Without that part of the topic or that part of the plot neutralized effectively. And then basically the rest of the episode was them dealing with a shapeshifter and trying to avoid Dr. Wells or grudgingly accepting Dr. Wells's help at every turn in the most obvious ways ever.
My thing is, like, these characters were way more intelligent than they were written this episode.
Yeah. So, okay, Jessica's specifically talking about
I'm talking about the shapeshifter, too.
Okay.
Like crazy, there's a shapeshifter. Someone comes knocking on your door that you just left in prison.
Yeah. No, yeah.
That's you're not like, hey, what happened?
Yeah. It took them too long to catch on to the shapeshifter.
I feel like,
but I don't know, having never, like, I mean, at this point, like, I'm a viewer. I've seen shapeshifter episodes
in almost every genre TV,
and so at this point, I'm kind of rolling my eyes. I'm like, that's clearly not that guy,
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, gotta have to divorce yourself from, TV history to a degree and be like, okay, well, these guys in theory never considered this possibly as a thing.
Yeah, but I still felt that it was too.
Yeah, it still took them like way too long.
Yeah. And then my other big issue with the episode was that Caitlin is not on board with is not fully on board about Dr. Wells being a bad guy. Right. And so she decides she's gonna go and
ask him.
You'd
be like, knock, knock, knock. Hello, Mr. Villain. Are you a villain for sure? I'd really just like you to confirm that for me. Can you just speak into the recorder?
I'm just here at your house by myself,
completely alone at nighttime.
No one knows I'm here. I feel like
it's exactly like iZombie. We talked to if a stranger comes up to you and says, not even a stranger. If literally any person says, "Is there anybody waiting for you?" You always say yes.
You always
say yes, people.
So I feel like this episode, as far as the characters go, it was too much of a, like, we need to get these characters to do the A, B, and C.
Yeah.
And I feel like it dropped the ball on, like, who these people were.
Right.
But it was, it did get some shit done, and, it moved people from point A to point C. So, it did its job, which is, what they needed to get done. So Arrow. Arrow's our other show.
Arrow's our other show. I'm sorry.
Our next show.
Let's see. So this week, they had Ollie basically cave after Thea got stabbed.
Yeah.
So he takes her to the
I can't remember what they call it.
The Lazarus Pit. They call it the Lazarus Pit.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm handling some administrative issues here. There we go. Fixed.
You're too easily distracted.
I am. Well, I mean, like, apparently someone's ass was going to shapeshift. It's not okay. Gotta police that shit.
My issue, long story short, is that Ollie caves and is gonna become the next head of the demon or son of the demon or whatever they call
heir to the demon.
Heir to the demon. And everyone's like having emotional breakdowns about like, you can't do this, Ollie, you can't do it, you can't do it. And the whole time we're watching it, I feel like I missed a scene, or that they needed to have a scene, because I was like, well, if he's the head of the league, then he can just make them like pacifist monks. Like, and have all of his friends and family move there with him. And, you know, like, his life does not have to really change, you know. He can make these people forces of good because they have to do everything he says.
Right.
And then at the end, the last, like, 10 minutes of the episode, you find out, no, he's not going to be the head right now. He just has to be a member for a while.
Right.
Until Roz kicks the bucket. And I feel like that was not clearly delineated enough.
Right, and so it kind of takes away a lot of the emotional impact. The whole time you're sitting there saying, like, why the hell?
Yeah, why do they have to go back to Starling City? Why can he never see Felicity again?
Why can he never see anybody again? You know? This is stupid. This is stupid. This is stupid. He can do whatever the hell he wants. He's the leader.
Yeah. So I feel like they needed to shift some scenes around, and it might be one of those things that I just missed a scene because I was folding clothes, or you know.
I think probably what happened is they had a scene earlier that was probably just cut.
Yeah.
You know.
And I really feel like it just was a pacing issue for me, because it just took me so out of the episode that I didn't really care that, you know, he's like, Dig, you're my brother, and that he and Felicity finally banged, you know, like all these things that should have this big emotional impact. I was like, this is stupid. Why are they acting so melodramatic, CWE? So that.
But I mean, they kind of. I think maybe they did bring it back, and they were like, "This seems dumb. We should fix this." And then they just tacked something on the end.
But I have to say, I am looking forward to the rest of the season. As few episodes as we have left. I am pretty excited to see what they do with it here.
I think it'll be pretty cool.
It leaves the show at a good point.
I mean, I have to imagine that they're going to try and at least get Ollie back to being the Arrow, you know, back to, like, they always seem to try and leave a season back at 0, right?
Yeah.
Like, Ollie and the team are ready to do crime fighting shit again.
Yeah.
And so I'm very curious as to how the hell they're going to do that. They haven't been a whole lot of teasers like there have been for The Flash, you know.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
All right. So
on to games.
There's only one really big release this week that's of any note is Wolfenstein the Old Blood, which basically is a prequel to Wolfenstein the New Order, which is a fabulous FPS that you should all play, and it's probably for dirt ass cheap on Steam. Hell, let me go look it up.
Or I could look it up since I have nothing to say about this game.
It's fucking awesome. Okay, it's funny shit. Like it's the best line about this game. At some point, you can dual wield automatic shotguns. So you're literally like dual wield automatic shotguns.
That's
when you
awesome.
Absolutely positively have to kill every motherfucker in the room except no substitutes, man. Holy shit. It is just a bunch of chaos and blood and awesome. Like, if you just want to destroy things, like, this is the game for you. And I can't imagine that the Old Blood will be much different. Like, hell, there might even be more. And let's be real, killing Nazis is always fun. Holy shit, this game is still $50 to $60 on Steam.
Oh, wow.
That's nuts. It's super great, though. Like, I know I got it on a Steam sale for like $20.
Yeah.
So just wait for your next Steam sale and pick it up. At this point, there's no point in like forcing yourself into buying it, you know, right now. Great game. I have very high hopes. Basically, I imagine they're just keeping a similar story or a similar engine and just adjusting the story to previous. So yeah, All right, so now Jessica's going to talk about her thoughts on the first couple, well, at least the first hour of Assassin's Creed 4.
Yeah, I've only gotten to play an hour, so virtually none.
And let's be fully honest, you're quite bad at it.
I'm terrible at it. I suck.
So realistically, it's like the first 20-ish minutes that took her about an hour to do.
Yeah. The first free running sequence, I was almost ready to call it because I was like, why can I not jump over this goddamn tree? You know, why am I just stopping for no reason? I was pretty, but then once I was like, screw it, I'm not jumping over that tree anymore. I'm going this way. I did fine. I think part of my problem is I'm used to either very linear games or wide open games, and AC4 the free run seems to be somewhere kind of like in between. Like there are ways that it would prefer you to go, and those ways are going to be easier. You can do the other ways, but it's going to be harder.
I think what it actually is that you have not really played any fast-paced games before. Like
I've played slow games with fast bits.
Yeah, like you've played Silent Hill.
Yeah.
So like there will be a small section where you're frantically pushing a button to kill a thing.
Yeah.
But the rest of it is you slowly wandering around the rest of the thing.
Not wanting to walk down that hallway.
Whereas Assassin's Creed, everything is that high tension. Not high tension, but high action all the time.
Yeah. I enjoyed the shooting boats. What do you call that? Shooting boats. The naval
aspect of
it. I enjoyed that. The first scene, it's meant to kind of throw you for a loop and you don't really know what's going on. But I didn't mind that.
I think that was kind of look, this is something we're going to do. You played Assassin's Creed 3. Yeah. We know this is the only part you liked in Assassin's Creed 3.
Yeah.
So we're going to do lots of this. So please don't leave.
Yeah. So I enjoyed that. I felt very victorious when, I killed those boats and I was able to do something you didn't. So I I killed the boat with the fire barrel.
Oh yeah. I never use fire barrels. I never have to buy them.
So I felt, all big and puffed up and important about that.
Even though it was mostly by accident.
Yeah. I'm intrigued by the plot line, by him not actually being an assassin.
Or a Templar.
Or a Templar, just kind of, being in the right/wrong, I guess, based on how you want to look at it. Yeah. Right place in the right time.
Well, for a pirate.
Right
place, right time.
Definitely right place, right time. So I'm intrigued by all that. His voice is annoyingly familiar. I feel like he's channeling someone, and I can't quite decide who it is yet. So that's going to bug me through the entire thing until my brain makes the connection. I've always kind of thought
he vaguely, he's like Heath Ledger's gnarly older brother or something like... this is what Heath Ledger looks like 30 years after 10 Things I Hate About You.
And then, I'm sure everybody else, I found the, real world anime stuff kind of silly. Especially since you're, a game developer now.
But, I feel like it... Personally, I've actually played through this game, 3 times. All the way. Because I had issues with the save game getting lost and formatting my machine or whatever. I played on PC. And so... I really thought it was actually surprisingly less jarring than the rest of the series.
Yeah.
The rest of the series usually has you in a third person, exactly the same frame and aspect that you would be in when you're in the Animus. Yeah. And so I feel like the divorce between, Animus time and non-Animus time is, if not more tolerable... Well, it's more tolerable. That's it. It's more. I mean, it's still bad. I just don't want to be outside the Animus ever.
Yeah.
But I think that helps that it's so different that it makes it more tolerable.
Yeah.
So you really don't feel like this is just a segue lazy thing.
I can see that. But yeah, I haven't gotten very far into it, but I'm looking forward to getting better at it.
Got to play some more.
I do. I have to play some more. And Matt's going to talk about Orphan Black, which
I
was the trade-off.
I have watched 4 episodes of Orphan Black. Basically, what I've gathered is that I don't really like many of the clones. I'm very intrigued by Cosima, who seems like the smart one. I'd much rather be following along with her as the main character than I would
Sarah.
Thank you. Jessica, I'm sure, is horrified at this.
No, I can understand.
Or maybe she's not so surprised at all that I would get along with a dreadlocked, nose pierced intellectual over
sciencey person.
over a former drug addict single mom person. I guess I can just relate a little better. I really like her very chill attitude, and she's just like, all right, everybody, you just chill the fuck out. This is what's happening. Yeah. It's crazy, but we all need to chill the fuck out.
I think part of it with hindsight, like the more you watch of the show, the more you'll understand why they chose Sarah to be at the center of it.
Well, I mean, I could see that she is much more the action hero character. She's more resourceful, and I can get that. I can get behind that. But just, I don't know. I find Cosima a more interesting aspect.
I feel like, well, never mind. I'm taking over. What else do you think?
That's kind of it. I hate the soccer mom, but I think I'm supposed to. She's super high strung, and she's just like everything. She's like, I think she's maybe like a clone of Sarah Palin, maybe. I don't know. Like she's
smarter than Sarah Palin.
She pulls out that gun so fast. I gotta say, actually, my favorite character is Felix. He's super funny. I love Felix. He's such a good character. He's the comic, and of course, that's what it is. He's the comic relief. Yeah. I'm meant to love him the most. And like, I am okay with that. I kind of wish, I'm sure it will deepen at some point, but at this point, I find the whole I want to be a mother thing very annoying with Sarah. As a side plot, it's just kind of meh for me. But for the most part, I'm enjoying it. I'm looking for a little more. I'm looking for them to dig more into the primary storyline a little more rapidly. It seems to be going a little slow, but it's definitely not like a thing of the week either. So
well, you're pretty close to the tipping point in the first season.
That's what it is, right? Like, I'm only in 4 episodes, which means that at this point they're, laying a lot of character plot.
Because there's a lot of world building
and there's a lot of world building, and there's a lot of character building that has to happen, especially when it's 5 of the same people, basically. Or 5 of the same, genetic person that they've got as completely separate, entities. And, I find that really interesting, and so I'm definitely in for more. Yeah. But I think we both have received our challenges with mediocre responses at best. Yeah. So I guess we'll see how far we get next week.
All right. So I guess that's it for this week.
Right.
Let us know if there's anything you'd like to hear about, or any thoughts that you have to add on our stories and coverage this week.
And let us know through all of the normal social media means. You can tweet me at BearMonk1.
And you can tweet me at CerebralLunch.
Or you can use that wonderful hashtag that we are trying to get started. Final Family.
It would probably be more helpful if I tweeted every now and then. Yeah.
Or twitted. Twatted. That was a segue too. It was just a dirty segue. As always, a comment or a like is much appreciated.
And subscribing is even better, so then you can keep up with all of our latest content.
All right, folks. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.
Be happy.